Welcome to Smart Women Talk. This is your host, Katana Abbott. I'm a midlife millionaire coach and a certified financial planner, and I search the world for smart women and a few good men, including best-selling authors and thought leaders who are on that leading edge. So join us for conversations on money, business, health, and inspiration so you can live with more purpose, passion, and prosperity. Hello, everyone. This is Katana Abbott, and I really want to welcome you to Smart Women Talk. Today, we are interviewing a longtime friend of mine, and she's an author, the founder of Steps to Happiness. Her name is Pat Mussieux. We're going to be talking about living your best life and how to identify the three major causes of stress in your life and business. The number one success technique to help you find your purpose and regain control in your life, and 5 easy habits that can bring you great joy. Wonderful. So let me tell you just a little bit about Pat. She has a very interesting background of reinvention. She's an internationally acclaimed speaker, award-winning business coach, former radio and TV host, and author. She has won the STEVIE Award for Female Executive of the Year and Female Entrepreneur of the Year in Canada 4 times. And having transformed her life at 57 and again at 68, has been a direct result of her expertise in the area of mindset, marketing, and money. She is on a mission to help professionals get a grip on their health, their wealth, and their happiness. Pat is helping women pivot and be proactive these days to create residual income and leveraged income so they can create the life of their dreams. Her mantra is, it's never too late and you're never too old. Oh, this is so perfect for today. Hey, Pat, thank you so much for joining us today. I'm just thrilled.
My absolute pleasure. Thank you for the invitation.
Absolutely. So we love to start our interviews with a story. Mm-hmm. And I would like to hear the story because although you and I met over a decade ago, I think it was.
Yes.
And we are both, I think kindred spirits is the best way to say it because we are doing very similar work in empowering women with health, wealth, and happiness, which I call prosperity. Yeah. And I want to say that we had a fun time because we got to go on a retreat to Panama together. And I just want to share something with everyone. I was just so impressed with the way you handled social media. Because even back then, the first thing you did is you did a tour of the house before we trashed it with all our stuff.
That's right.
Yeah, and it was so great. And you videotaped all the rooms, and you ended up getting the master bedroom, which was so gorgeous. And you did this little tour, and I want to say something that the owner of that villa actually contacted me one time asking why his home was on social media. And I told him, and then he was really happy because we were neighbors because now I have the villa next to him. And then the other thing I noticed, we were having I guess it happened all the time. You created a hashtag, Panama Adventure. Yeah. And then you were interviewing people there and using this hashtag, and you really got a trend going. So, I'm really impressed with that, Pat.
Well, I guess a pioneer in many ways. I forgot about that video of the house before I let anybody put down their suitcases or anything. It's like, wait. I love to share, Katana, and I guess that just goes way back. I love to share. And isn't social media wonderful? It's such a great tool for doing that.
Well, that was pretty amazing because I didn't even know about hashtags back then.
So fun.
So tell us about your story. And one of the things I didn't mention, I don't know if you're going to mention that whole trip around the world type of thing. So I hope you include that because I would think that almost 90% of the people in women that I know would just dream for something like that, and you manifested it. So share your story and how you got started in all this. Like what happened in your life that you decided to do this work?
Wow. Well, and so much to share in so little time, right?
Yeah,
so
take your time.
I'm going to give you the Reader's Digest version of this. When we get to a certain age and stage in life, life happens. And for many people, it will happen over a period of time. It just so happened, I, at the time, was married to a man 10 years older than me. So some things were advanced, if you will. So my in-laws, for example, were much older as well. And so I had the great fortune and the blessing over a 10-year period to work with and be mentored by Lou Tice of the Pacific Institute in Seattle, Washington. That's a private educational institute with a focus totally on cognitive psychological principles and, in other words, mindset. And so I loved the work that I did there. I was part of the International Speakers Bureau. I did training, facilitation, master training, traveled everywhere. It was fabulous. What happened, though, and that really was the start of the transformation, if you will, or the big changes in my life, in that I was growing at a very fast speed because I'm a sponge. I love to learn. And my belief is she who implements wins. And so I was implementing everything I learned. My ex-husband now, at the time, 10 years older, was focusing on retirement and retreating from the world. And I was going out into the world simultaneously. So you can imagine what impact that had on the relationship. And I was away a lot. And at the time, my father-in-law was diagnosed with terminal cancer. My mother-in-law had Alzheimer's disease. My best friend had breast cancer. I mean, so it went, like the black cloud came in, hovered, hit hard. Everything was happening. And at the same time, my marriage was dying. So when the dust settled, if you will, I really rolled up my sleeves and I walked out of the marriage. My soul was dying. I was exhausted. I needed and wanted to be available for the family and friends who needed me. And so, I mean, it's not like the marriage died overnight either. So anyway, when things settled a bit, then here's what I call the Merlot moment. Women will be able to relate to this. I was on a phone call on a Sunday afternoon with my brother. I lived in the West Coast of Canada. He lived in the East Coast. We were having a chat. He's my best friend. And after sharing a bottle of Merlot, he said to me, "So, your whole life has fallen apart. Don't you think perhaps it's time for you to come back to the East Coast and be closer to family, our immediate family?" I said, "Well, let's contemplate that." So we had another bottle of Merlot. And he said, "So what do you think? You going to move or what?" And I went, "Sure." So that was it. That was the moment the Merlot moment, when I made the decision. I was walking out of the marriage. I walked out the door after 25 years, didn't look back, didn't take anything with me. Not the smartest financial move. I think I've shared that with you in the past, Katana, because I just walked out. I left everything and started over. So I moved across the country. I threw a few things in a trash bag, and that really became the prop that I used in a lot of my keynote presentations, to come out with a trash bag and talk about the fact that even at 57, when you have strong mindset skills, you have a song in your heart, you've got energy, all things are possible. So I landed on the East Coast. I had no business. I had no contacts. I had no money. I had a dream. Now, what happened before leaving, I had been going through a pile of flyers. And I'm a big belief in vision board. I mean, Lou Tice taught that. Vision, affirmations, goal setting, self-talk, all of that. I'm going through a bunch of flyers. And I'm thinking to myself, what do I want my new life to look like and feel like? And one of the flyers that landed actually in the pile, landed on the ground, all I saw was a picture of the world, and it said, "Travel the world by private jet." And I remember looking at that, Katana, at the state I was in at the time, thinking, who the heck are the rich people that get to do something like that? And then I decided, I'm going to pick that flyer up. I'm going to have a little look at it. I didn't even know things like that existed. That wasn't part of my world. I looked inside, and I had already created a vision board. I love to travel. My ex-husband did not like to travel. And when I looked at that list of places, the 10 countries in 1 month, 7 of the 10 from my vision board were on that list. And I thought to myself, okay, I'm 57. To go to many of these places, it takes quite a while to save the money. It takes time to travel to that place and back again. And so I started to rationalize everything and come up with creative ways. And I thought, listen, if I'm starting over now, my beloved father-in-law, who knew that I was leaving the marriage, and we had such a great relationship. And he said to my husband at the time when I made the announcement, he said, you know, this is the stupidest thing you've ever allowed to happen. So he was a big fan of me. So he said to me before he died, he said, I'm going to transfer a little bit of money into your account because I want you to know that I care and I want you to be taken care of, because if I leave you in the will, the boys are going to fight that and take you out. Okay. So I thought, he was a retired postman. I thought a little bit of money, $1,000, $1,500, you know, that'd be pretty generous. Anyway, it turns out, and this is the way manifestation happens, the amount he left me to use when I moved to the East Coast to get set up in an apartment or have a roof over my head was the amount of the trip. And I thought to myself, well, look, I've got no clients. I've got no business. I have no roof over my head. I have no expenses. What the heck? I'm going on this trip, and then I'm going to figure life out when I get back, because when will this ever happen again? And that's how I got on that private plane, traveled 10 countries. It was amazing. It was a first-class experience. Now, here's what else.
How long was the trip?
1 month.
1 month of travel.
So it was a flight out of Toronto. Icelandic Air was contracted, chartered. The plane inside had been totally restored to first class travel. So the plane went with us everywhere for the month. So it's like you get on a train or a bus and you leave your book, you leave your coat. And so the crew and the flight stayed with us, and we got back on in 3 days and then went to another place and then another place. And so I went from Japan to India to Africa to Czechoslovakia to Iceland. It was amazing. And Katana, to tie back to your introduction, I took pictures everywhere. I created a blog. I didn't even know what a blog was at the time, but I created one because I journal everything. The owner of the company said to me after the trip, those pictures are amazing. We have no marketing materials like that. Could we buy them from you? I said, no, you can have them. I mean, they're just pictures. You can have them. That's fine. 2 months later, he called me and he said, we're going on the trip again. We're planning for it. And we're wondering if you would come along and blog the trip and do the marketing for us. But we can't pay you. And now my business, like, it still had not taken off. And I thought, sure, but I can't pay you either. So I got to go 2 more times. Wow. 3 times on a private plane around the world. What a blessing. Based on the fact that I take risks, I fear not, I have strong beliefs in myself. And quite frankly, I had a captive audience of very wealthy people who had an interest in who I was and what I did. That
launched your career.
That launched it, because when I got back, I had a few boxes. I rented a little room in a condo with another professional woman because I had no money to buy a home, or I had no credit for any of that. And when I saw her little ad in the paper, I said to her, so I need a desk and I need internet. And she said, no worries. I work from home. I have all that. And I said, oh, what do you do? And she said, I run conferences for professional business women. She said, what do you do? I said, I speak at those conferences.
Oh my God.
Right? I mean, this was so divine. It was all so divine. So I spoke 4 days after landing there. I spoke at this conference, 250 professional women in the room. And that really was the start of the business. Yeah.
That is such a wonderful story.
It still gives me God bumps when I think about it and all the blessings attached to it, because I dared to.
You dared to. Yeah. And it was life-changing. And
totally.
Yeah. And I mean, how brave you were at the time. You did not realize, I mean, if you knew this was going to happen, you probably would have gotten nervous about it, but since you didn't know this was going to happen, it all just happened in a divine way.
It's interesting because as I looked back and thought about things, Katana, if I had known ahead of time just how difficult it was to go through a divorce, I don't believe I would have had the courage to do it.
Mm-hmm.
So oftentimes the lesson for me is when you don't know what you don't know, it's okay.
Yeah.
It's okay. You take one step at a time. Yep.
So I want to, a lot of people are talking about the law of attraction. I mean, It's been around for a long time. I mean, Napoleon Hill talked about it in Think and Grow Rich, and he didn't call it that, but that's what he was referring to.
Mm-hmm.
So the law of attraction worked there, but there was this step you did of action. It was almost you did ready, shoot, aim, right?
Exactly. Yes.
Yeah. You didn't sit there and go, okay, well, if I do this, then, and started analyzing. Because what happened, tell me what happens when we get into that mode where we get an idea, a divinely inspired idea. We get all excited about it. And then we, put it out there, and then we get the opportunity and something happens where we go into fear. Like, oh my God, what was I thinking? Was I crazy? You didn't do that.
No, and I really give thanks to Lou Tice again, because he coached me and he mentored me and he stretched me and challenged me and encouraged me and picked me up when I fell down. And what I learned was, and I didn't really realize until all of this happened, how deeply ingrained all of that learning was. And one thing I learned was have the vision for your life, dare to think big, and keep it out there and grow into what scares you. Become bigger than what scares you. But as human beings, what we do is we'll put it out there. Then we look at it and go, well, wait a minute. I don't have the money. I don't have the resources. I don't have the time. I don't have the courage. And we back it up right here in front of our face to that which we know and where we're comfortable. Fortunately, I had the training and learned the skills to keep it out there and grow into it. And that's how I've lived my life ever since I met Lou.
I was so fortunate because I had a lot of interesting things happen to me when I was little. Like my mother took me door to door collecting holiday dollars for the poor. And I was so inspired by making a difference and the idea that I just loved doing things like that. But I would come back to the church and then we would add up our money and they would write it on a blackboard. And I would be one of the top fundraisers with all the adults. And then I did fundraising all through the years with my parochial school. And all of that came in very helpful after my first divorce when I was young, my only divorce when I was young. And I didn't get to finish college. And I had lost my VA benefits because when I married him, I lost my free tuition. And so I thought, what can I do? And I fell back on that. And I used that and I went into sales and I was selling barter to business owners so they could trade on a credit card.
Yeah.
But Pat, I wanted to share, I was so lucky at that time because you mentioned a mentor, and I always say one of the most important things we can do. My first mentor was just the book, Think and Grow Rich. Yeah. But then when I started that job, I met this, my manager, Jim Wood, was amazing. And I devoured everything that I was taught. And again, did extremely well. And then when I went into financial planning, they brought all these great people to us, like Tommy Hopkins and
right.
Yeah, and Zig Ziglar. I mean, this is the real old time stuff, right?
Yeah, Harvey McKay, right? Harvey McKay as well.
It made such a huge difference, though.
Yeah.
To have those goals and following someone people are anything you want to do. Yeah. There are guides who have done it and they can shorten it for you.
Yeah, and so what I learned from Lou also were three things. For those who do want to set goals, for those who do want to live big and dream big, because it's a world of possibilities. Mm-hmm. Listen, I grew up in a French Canadian Catholic military home. There was not a lot of discussion about the big world out there. We were on isolated military bases in northern Quebec. I mean, there's nothing there. And so one thing I learned from Lou was be hungry, be willing, be coachable. And I was at the front of the line. Many people backed up because Lou was a bit intimidating. But again, as he always said, it's okay to be intimidated. It's not okay to stay intimidated. And I took that to heart. And it's like, okay, I dare, pick me. I'll go, I'll do it. And so every step of the way, I've done that.
Right.
You get those butterflies in formation and away you go and dare to live. Dare to live.
And, all of those, the hungry, willing, and coachable, all of that is being open.
Yes.
Open to learning. You wanted to, what was your number one success strategy for starting over? What was that? The thing about fearless, or what would that have been?
The number one thing that I learned from Lou is to control your self-talk. It's to control your self-talk, because I find, I hear, and I've lived, typically there are three major areas of stress in our life. And one of the major ones is our belief about what's possible for our life. Our belief about what's possible for our life. Now, listen, that world trip, I didn't even know it existed. But when information is presented, and my belief system would be like, who are you? Right away. And yet I look at it and go, well, who am I not to? And if not me, then who? It's like, no, I'm going. So the number one piece is our belief about what's possible in our life. The second one is, and this is a big key for me, is our circle of influence, our circle of 5. What Lou taught me was some people aren't good for you. Like my ex-husband. And I mean, he has remarried. He's with a perfect mate for him right now. I believe that marriage for me, that period of time, was for a purpose. Mm-hmm. And my purpose was to help that family heal from the disastrous, hurtful divorce, his first divorce. And I came in and with a great array of positivity and happiness and energy, and really helped to heal that family. Mm-hmm. What I learned from Lou was some people aren't good for you. And I did come to that realization, sadly, as a Catholic, French-Canadian Catholic, this marriage is not for me. This marriage is not for me. Some people are not good for us. And so I made the decision to leave. Lou always taught us about the circle of 5. And as you go and grow and become your best self and learn and implement, you've got to look at that circle of 5 regularly and recognize there's at least 1 or 2 names on there of people who need to go.
That's hard to do sometimes too.
I was just going to say that. I say it in my keynotes and people come up after and go, well, easy for you. And I went, no, it's not easy for me. Are you kidding? One of these individuals, constant negativity, was my mother. So I was estranged from my mother for 10 years. I remember the phone call on a Christmas Eve. I picked it up with dread. I knew it was going to be nothing but negativity and attacks, and she didn't like my ex-husband at all or my life. And I realized at that time, enough. And I said to her, I love you, but I don't like you very much right now. And so until the tone changes of our conversations, we're not going to have another conversation.
Yeah.
10 years. The second person was my twin sister. Extremely negative. So I'm still estranged from her.
Wow.
And so, no, it's not easier for me. Yes, it's hard only if and when you have no goals. But when you have goals and you recognize we have gifts, we are given gifts, and we have a big world of possibility, that there are other people who can come into that circle of 5 and be supportive and loving and cheering and engaging and encouraging. And that's who I keep in my circle of 5. Just because I have blood relatives doesn't mean I need to put up with the crap. And I don't. Listen, all those negative people, they have their own club. They attract each other. It's like, go to your club. So that circle of 5. And the last one that causes so much stress, particularly this year, is our lack of self-care. Women in particular, lack of self-care. Everybody and everything else first.
Yeah.
So when you've got all of that, as potential obstacles, barriers, challenges, you've got to learn the skills, and there are skills. That's what I've been teaching for 30 years. There are skills to get past that. So the number one, I want to go back to your question, is to control our self-talk. Mm-hmm. Because when people say to me, I said, your belief about what's possible for your life, where do beliefs come from? They come from our self-talk, and they come from what we hear from other people that we take in, we internalize, and we believe that. So you've got to watch who you're listening to, who's giving you your truth. What is that self-talk going on in your head? So you either control that self-talk or the self-talk controls you.
And that self-talk could just be these limiting beliefs we have from our childhood.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I just listened on Audible, and I love it, to Byron Katie, Loving What Is. Mm-hmm. And it's a bunch of, case studies of and she reads them with another reader, and using the 4 questions, you judge your neighbor, judge your friend, judge your spouse, whoever, but then you ask those questions. Is it true? How do I know it's true? How do I feel when I have those thoughts? Because she shows you it's not what happened, because it happened, it's the ruminating, what just happened to you over and over in your head. And you don't even know for sure if it's true, but you think it's true. And then she'll ask, how would your life be if you didn't have that thought? Well, I'd be free. Well, then release the thought and go on with your life. And it's very easy to say, but once you really get that, right, you have that awareness, then you can say, I cancel that. I'm starting fresh, and just constantly releasing those thoughts. It's a habit that you have to get into. And sometimes we have to really look at the thoughts and bless them and be kind to those thoughts, and then release them more gently. But some of them we can just push off pretty, like almost laugh. Your life becomes so easy, doesn't it, when you learn these things?
Yes. And the thing is, there is a technique for that. A lot of people say, well, great, but how?
Right.
How do I do that? Because listen, I have a circle of people around me. I'm turning 70 this summer. I've had a lot of limiting beliefs and conversations and feedback and people's advice as to how I should live. A lot of people telling me, well, you should be retired now. It's like, no, I got things to do. But a lot of women in particular would take that in and go, oh, should I? Am I too old? Should I stop? So there's a technique. And I wanted to share that technique quickly with everybody, because if you take nothing away from this call, take this. There is a technique for getting past that limiting belief, those negative thoughts, that self-talk. And here's how easy it is. All you need to do, change starts with awareness. And oftentimes what's going on in our head is just habit. Like you said, it's habitual and it's conditional and it's been generational. How do we change it? I love this self-awareness technique I learned. You take a rubber band, really simple, make it colorful, make it pretty, put it on your dominant wrist like that. And for 24 hours, the homework assignment is no negativity, no belittling, no teasing, no sarcasm, no negativity for 24 hours to yourself or to anybody else.
Oh, beautiful.
The difference that makes is when you find yourself dreaming, goal setting, in conversation with somebody about what you want, and that dialogue goes, well, who do you think you are? Or you're too old, or you don't have the money, then give yourself a snap. What happens is that dialogue, we're so used to it just running on automatic, we're not paying attention. I want everyone to stop and pay attention to what is going on in your head and give yourself a snap when it is not positive, forward thinking, and uplifting. You'll become very aware by the end of the day. I mean, that'll hurt after a while. And for some people,
you're pulling it really far.
It's going to be the quietest 24 hours ever for some of you, because negativity has become such a deeply ingrained habit. We're just not aware. So become aware, do this for 24 hours and watch what's going on in your head, then flip it.
And I'm thinking too, another one, it could be for judging, because so much of judging, because it's a mirror of what we fear, for example.
Yeah.
But just every time we go to judge someone, because if you get jealous of someone who has something and you say something negative or think something negative, you'll never have that. Like someone may have been jealous of you for going on that trip and saying, who does she think she is? Well, if
Yes.
I think that about Pat, I'm never going to have an opportunity like that. Because I'm sending the universe saying she doesn't want that,
Exactly.
So
and my message,
thing, I'm gonna wear that because you don't realize it. It's habitual, just like you said.
exactly. And when I shared this in my keynote presentations or with my mastermind groups, they'd all run up and say, "Can I have another one or two for my spouse or for my kids?" And I went, "No, this is a do-it-yourself project. It starts with me. All meaningful and lasting change starts up here with me." So the way you affect change around you is to adopt and develop and implement techniques that will move you forward in a positive way. And then your behavior will inspire others around you.
And you become a real role model for that.
Yes.
So one of the other things I wanted to ask you about is, at any point, did you feel like you had arrived? Was it the plane thing that you felt, or was there how about when you got the speaking engagements? Was there something that happened that you knew?
Well, I got to tell you, getting on that private plane and being served champagne and getting this fabulous first class seat, I sat back and put my feet up and went, yeah, this is good. This is good. However, what I also learned from Lou is you goal set to, and then you goal set through. Because when you do adopt that feeling of, oh, I've arrived, it's kind of like I was part of the coaching team with Lou with some Olympians. And part of what he was teaching them, Olympians are taught goal set to get to the Olympics, right? What I watched him do in a masterful way was help them goal set through so that you're coming home with the medal, because otherwise you goal set to, you get to the Olympic Village, you get to your sport, and all your energy dissipates. And
put that into our life. So let's say you want to lose some, a lot of people are dealing with the weight gain from.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Unbelievable. Because before this, I was going to my health club a minimum of 3 times a week, and I had these rich relationships there. And it was a big part of my social life, but I was in really great shape. Yeah. And, and and a lot of people are wearing their pajamas and sweatpants and, yoga pants, yoga clothes. And so they can't get into their gorgeous clothes anymore.
Yes.
And just, it's not healthy to be like that.
Oh my gosh, no. So what I did right away, right out of the gate, it all starts with mindset again. So I made the decision, what did I want each day to look like and feel like? Because I like to feel good. I like to feel productive. I like to feel engaged. And so I live alone. I had just moved back to Western Canada to be with my family and my friends, and COVID hit. And now I'm in quarantine and isolation by myself. So thank goodness for Zoom, which my company and I, my team and I, we brought this into our company 5-6 years ago. So I have a comfort level with it. However, I could have fallen into the state of depression and despair and anger and frustration because I'm so close to family, but so far. I made a decision that as time went by and we all learned this was not going to last a week or a month, it was going to be for an indefinite period of time. What did I want my day to look like and feel like? And also, how can I be an inspiration and be of service to others who are not used to working from home, who are going through a lot of mental anguish? And so I made a commitment right out of the gate that every day when I get up, I have my 5 daily non-negotiables. And then when I come through that door, this is the office door. I live on the other side of that door. This is the office. I make sure I have fresh flowers every week. I'll try to color coordinate. I make sure I have fresh flowers. I make sure this environment is bright and cheery and pretty. I make sure I'm dressed for work. And so many times I've done some lunch and learns for some companies. And some of the women have said, well, stand up and show us your pajamas. And said, I'm not wearing pajamas. Now, my high heels are put away and have been for a year. I go barefoot around here because I just like to do that. But I am dressed for work. I do my hair. I put on the makeup. I get into the mindset of work. I start work at 8:30. I am not on social media on any device prior to that because I have my first 2 hours of the day for me. That's for me. And it will not be disrupted by news, by text messages, by anything else. That's for me. And so I find it's really important, again, to get strong mindset skills and come back to realize if it's to be, it's up to me. What do I want the day to look like and feel like? That over which I have control, of course. Mm-hmm. And so many people have said to me, oh, you're so lucky because you live alone. You know, I got my spouse, I got my kids, I got my pets. And I said, I have a story too. Do you have any idea what it's like to eat meal after meal after meal after meal by yourself? Do you have any idea what it's like to go out of this office door and sit and watch a movie by myself? Do you have any idea what it's like to wake up in the morning alone and wonder, does anybody know if I'm up? So we all have a story.
Right.
I could stay in bed and pull up the covers and go, poor me, this sucks. However, I choose instead, I exercise, I meditate, I always hydrate. I journal.
My tea.
There you go. I always have my journal with me. I goal set and I read a chapter a day. I do and take in all of the upbeat, positive things, materials, activities I can, and get in the right state of mind to come in here and be my best self.
And that's your morning ritual that you do. I think that's so important.
5 daily non-negotiables from the minute my eyes open between 6:15. And, you know, the one.
Is the first one gratitude?
No, the first one, actually, what I do is that, you must be familiar with Robin Roberts on Good Morning America?
I don't watch that.
Okay, well, she's an anchor, and I've just followed her journey since she battled cancer and a bunch of other things. A good friend of mine in New York was friends with her, and so we just stayed in touch. And Robin, this is the one thing I do listen to. She's on Twitter in the morning, and she does like a 2-minute prayer and message for the day from Joel Osteen. So that's the first thing I listen to. Then I put on a meditation. Then I get up, my workout clothes are right there and ready to go. So meditation is a key part. Workout is the next one. I work out for 30 to 45 minutes every morning, and that's through YouTube typically. And then from there, I sit down, I have my bulletproof coffee, and then I sit down and I do my journaling, which is unlike my gratitude journal. So I do 5 things for which I'm grateful every day. And then I do my journaling of my goals. I write out my goals every day. You
know who else does that still to this day is, it's not Jack Canfield. It's, why does that happen to me?
Victor Hansen.
Brian Tracy.
Oh.
He rewrites his goals every day. And I mean, he is one of the most prolific speakers. I mean, he travels hundreds of days a year.
Yeah, I know. I had the blessing of sharing a stage with him, and we were sharing our habits, if you will. Which was so much fun. But sleep is a big part, Katana. This is a big part of what people are missing. And I link that directly to lack of hydration and lack of good nutrition. Because yes, through COVID, people are putting crap in their mouth, and it affects everything, especially your sleep. So for me, I am not on any device after 7 p.m. Nothing is coming in here except good stuff. I sleep in a dark bedroom, a cool bedroom, a quiet bedroom. I do not eat or drink anything after 7 as well. I'm in bed by 10. I'm asleep at 5 after, and then I'm up at 6. Mm-hmm. Pretty consistent. So sleep, exercise, hydration, nutrition, and meditation and gratitude. Non-negotiable, every day, me first.
Yep. Yeah, it makes such a huge difference.
Huge.
And the reason I'm going to point this out to Pat is, you are so brave, and you said your age. I say mine too, because I'm proud.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, I'm proud to be here working and be pretty fit. I'm dealing with some surgeries I've had to deal with. But if you do not have your health, no matter how much money you have, or, you could have, it's hard to have happiness when you don't have your health. So, and, you can't buy health if you haven't taken care of yourself. It's not like you can just wave a magic wand or pay someone to make you healthy once that happens to you.
And so it affects everything, right?
Oh, it affects everything. Yes. Yes. So that's brilliant. And what you're talking about is the full health, mind, body, spirit, the whole thing, with the nutrition and and the hydration, but then the exercise, and then that spiritual, mental, emotional part. Because again, if you are living alone, if you do have a practice like that, you're really not alone, because you always are in a higher vibration, and you're connected with God, universe, your higher self. And so you have a companion there all the time.
Well, again, it's divine. The whole journey has been divine, Katana. I sit here, I have a beautiful, big, bright window in front of me. The blinds are down right now for lighting. But what I look at across the trees is this big church, which has been empty for a year, and an empty parking lot. But I come in here, and this is where I do my gratitude. And I will look over at the church, and I do believe in God. And I do say, thank you, Jesus. Thank you, Jesus, for this, this, and this. And I also have come in here and said, Jesus, take the wheel. Because I'm not feeling it today. Take the wheel. And that's okay too.
Yeah.
That's okay too. I've had my wall kicking moments. I've had my moments of sadness and loneliness. I acknowledge my feelings. I put a timer on. I have my pity party. I'll put the timer on for 5 minutes, 10 minutes. When that timer goes off, it's like showtime, back in the game.
That's a great point, because my daughter will say to me, Mom, okay, fine. Yes, I understand. Yes, Mother, you're, glass overflowing type of gal. But, I'd like to at least be able to mourn through this little thing that happened to me, so we do need to give ourselves that time.
Yes.
To mourn. And sometimes we need, more time than other times. Where we might need support. And so that's another thing. We need to know where to go or who to go to when that happens, because we don't want to go to a naysayer or someone that's going to want to just be in the pool with you of pity.
And they're everywhere.
Yeah.
Katana, they're everywhere. When I moved back here and I had the first lunch to get together with my friends. Now, I had visited through the years. I was gone 14 years, but we had visited. But we had a lunch when I first came back. And I sat there and looked around as the waiter was pouring the water in the glasses. Everybody's taking out their pills. And I'm going like, are you guys all on vitamins? Like, what you doing there? Because we had never had this conversation. Well, one of them had to go into the bathroom because she is an insulin-dependent diabetic. So she went to shoot up. The other one was sharing with me her 3rd round of cancer. The other one's waiting for a hip replacement. And so it went, and I'm thinking like, what? I have no aches or pains. I'm not on any meds. I'm very, very pleased about that. But I have also worked for this. I've worked for this. Dairy Queen is right behind me. I could have planted my face in Dairy Queen every week through COVID. I love ice cream. I chose not to. It feels great to feel great.
Right.
And you're right. You can't buy this. You can't buy this. And I want this for everybody. I am on a mission now. And I'll tell you, one of the triggers for me, people say, well, why'd you move back? Why did you pick up again at age 68?
So you moved at 57.
From west to east.
Okay, from west to east.
Yeah.
And then you just did it again.
From east to west. Yes, because when I landed on the East Coast, Listen, I had nothing, and I believe you know me well enough to know now I'm the networking queen. So I knew when I landed in Ontario, I needed to get out there and let people know who I was, what I do, what I have to offer, and network, network, network. So I went to every free networking breakfast that had free parking that I could get in there and get known. At the very first one, I was seated at this table, and I met this woman sitting beside me who was also divorced, who was an entrepreneur, who lived alone, who invited me to her church, she's Christian, who loved to travel. And I tell you, like that, it was love at first sight.
Yeah.
It was love at first sight.
Your kindred spirits.
Oh my gosh, we became like soul sisters. So tight, honest to goodness. So flash forward. So that was when I moved there 14 years ago. 4 years ago, she was diagnosed with terminal cancer, ovarian cancer. She told me, I was waiting at home watching Dancing with the Stars. We usually texted all through it. It's a 10, it's an 8. And she wasn't home. She wasn't home. And I messaged her and I said, I knew she had a doctor's appointment. She thought she had bronchitis. And so she called me from the car and she said, I'm just heading home now. Like, okay, all right, I'll wait. And then she started to cry. And I said, what's wrong? And she told me, she said, I just found out I have terminal cancer. So I hopped in my car in my pajamas and went over. Anyway, that was 4 years ago. Very long journey for her, tough journey. I moved in a few times when she had surgery to support her because her adult daughters are single moms. They had to work. Yeah. I said, your time is coming. I will do this. I will take her to her chemo. I will do whatever I can to be with her. In the last few weeks of her life, we had those conversations that people talk about but don't talk about. And we pulled out that list. I'm sure you've seen it on social media, the 10 regrets of the dying.
No, but I've seen it, but I can't remember what they were. But I'm going to write it down.
Yeah, so we pulled that out because, you know, I was out on stage. My keynote was about how to make money, how to teach entrepreneurs to shift their thinking and make money. She said to me, I would do anything to trade places with you right now. All those times you invited me to go out for breakfast, and I said, no, I got to work. Okay. All those times you said, let's go to cheap night Tuesday movie. I just got to work a few more hours. I said, what's your number one regret? And she said, putting the business before my life. So she said, and you know, I'd go over and I'd lay in bed with her and we would talk about all of this. And she said, you need to change your message. You've got to get out on stage now and talk to women of our age group, entrepreneurial, and you need to talk to them about self-care and taking care of themselves, because she said, I don't want to die, but I'm paying the price. And then she said, and I want you to take my picture. So she got her scarf on and she chose the picture. And I said, I want you to put my face up there and tell my story. And then she said, if this ever happens to you, who's going to be around for you like you've been around for me? That's what triggered the move back here. So again, I sold everything. I hopped in my car. I don't care about stuff. You can get it off Facebook Marketplace. I don't care. Drove across the country, came back here, refurbished, got started all over again. But that was the trigger, Katana. My friend saying, you need to surround yourself again with family and friends.
Now she's still with us, right?
No, she died.
Oh, then that must have been such a difficult time.
Oh my God. I mean, I went into a depression.
Yeah.
It was like losing my right arm. Yeah. It was such a huge loss for me. And I did go into a downward spiral thinking, you know, like, what's the point? She was my bestest friend, which caused me to go through a whole process of journaling that I learned from Lou to figure out who I was and what I wanted now.
And look at you going back to your original coach and those lessons that you learned.
Always.
I love it.
Yeah.
So what did you do? Because we're coming to the top of the hour, and I want to. This has been such a rich conversation. It's gone so quickly, but I really want you to share this, and I take notes just so you know.
Well, I will share this quickly. The process that Lou shared with me the first time I made the change, because he said to me eye to eye one day in his office, "You need to make a decision about that toxic marriage you're in."
Mm-hmm.
Now, you're either going to go and get in it and be in it, or you're getting out. Mm-hmm. So I remember the process he shared with me, and I'll tell you quickly. It was to get a blank journal and to sit down every day for 5 minutes, put the timer on, first thing in the morning, sit down and start writing whatever comes out of your head, whatever comes out of your head. Just write. Don't question, don't prejudge, nothing. Don't edit. The next day, do it again, do it again, do it again for a month. Now, this is a 3-month process for the month. At the end of the month, take a blank piece of paper and then draw 2 lines, January, February, March. For that month, go back to your notes and highlight, I can see the timing, and highlight the words that jump out. So I always have a highlighter. The words that jump out, take those words and put them in the first column. Repeat for the second month, second column. Repeat for the third month, third column. Then sit back with that 1 page and go find a quiet place and meditate on that and look at the theme of the words that you created. And that is your story, and that is your future. And honest to God, Katana, I sat on the couch and I'm looking at that, and out of the blue was the message, "You're moving back to Edmonton." I had never goal set to come back here. I had never thought about coming back here.
And also, did you understand that your mission was going to be then the health and wellness and happiness?
Totally.
Yeah. Yeah.
I pivoted.
It's like I'm really feeling that for you.
Right.
So
and
beautiful.
I totally pivoted, because when I came back and when I'm talking to people and they look at me, and I'm sorry, I keep thinking about Wanda.
Yeah.
It's like when I get on Zoom and people say, "Oh my gosh, what are you drinking? And what filters do you have on?" I said, "Yeah, none. This is the new face of 70. And I am on a mission to help women take it back, take control, get your health, and be happy."
Wonderful.
Amen.
So I know we have so many women, they're going to want to connect with you to learn more. So let's give them your website, and you have an ebook that you're making available. How do they get that?
Simply they can email me, but this is the book. I wrote this back when. That's the Princess Diana look, right? In India. It's who am I now? And I know women are looking to pivot right now. They're looking to figure it out right now. Everything that I've talked about, the techniques, the stories is in that book.
Oh, so I'm going to get it.
You can email me, pat@patmussieux.com. That's it. Very simply. Or you can go through the website, which is hirepat.com.
And what is it again?
Hire Pat, that's me, right?
Okay, we'll put it on our social media.
Sure, thanks. And also, anybody who is interested, I'm also open to coordinating and scheduling a 30-minute complimentary life plan call, if you will, to help women. They can ask the questions, and I'll give them 2 or 3 tips on how to get into action and take charge.
Oh, that's fantastic.
My pleasure.
Thank you so much, Pat, for being here. And I love connecting with my friends in Canada, because I live in Michigan and you are sister country.
Yeah,
so
we
my
are.
relatives are, as I mentioned earlier, Canadian too. So it's hirepat.com. We'll put it on our website. They can come get your ebook. And I just want to
make sure to add the email address. That's the easiest way to get me.
So Pat at hirepat?
No, pat@patmussieux.com.
Oh, pat@patmussieux.com.
Yeah. That's it.
Okay. And they can come to our Facebook page too. So
Katana, thank you from the bottom of my heart, because I love to provide inspiration and hope to women. And this is a wonderful platform. So thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. So everyone, remember to go out and live with more purpose, passion, and prosperity.
Yeah.
We'll see you. Smart Women Talk is brought to you by Smart Women's Empowerment, a 501c3 nonprofit project of United Charitable. Music by Bill Lucas from his album When It Rains. Available on Apple Music and Spotify. Catch us wherever you listen to your favorite podcast, and be sure to join our free community at joinsmartwomen.com to access all our free Smart Women resources.